Good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing? With me tonight is Dane Chenault. We're here to talk some RSM Classic. It is the last event before the fall break. We've got Tiger's event there over the winter, but really we don't really get back to it till the Tournament of Champions in early January. So this is our last real event, 156 player field. The one thing we do get back to this week, though, Dane, is the multi-course rotation, as you can see here on the screen. Are you excited for that?
Personally, no. I'm honestly not a big fan of it. I know there's definitely some edge sometimes in like a showdown or um, if there's a weather edge and somebody's getting the easier course on a good weather day or something like that. You can kind of spin that any way you want to, I think. But I'm overall not a fan of the course rotation. What about you?
Yeah, I do like it from a showdown perspective. Now, this week is interesting, you talking about weather, so let's just start right there.
Yeah.
It's the best place to usually start. Tomorrow is, 3 to 4 mile an hour, nothing in terms of tomorrow. The big one is Friday. So as we get into the afternoon, like 1, 2 p.m., it starts to get up about 17 mile an hour. Now, the big difference for me, and on the sheet this week, I did put the tee times and the course designation. So this is for round one. So if you're looking to, build your lineups and avoid these late Friday guys, you're looking for the late Thursday, early Friday. So on the sheet, what you're going to be looking for this week is the colored in red is the later the tee time on Thursday, which is obviously going to correlate to earlier on Friday. So those are some guys if you want to build around that. The reason I'm not is with the two courses. Starting, there's only a difference of less than 2 hours between the first tee time and the final tee time. Sorry, exactly 2 hours, 9:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. So I was breaking it down over here. So you start at 9 and 11. They're both starting about the same wind, about 5 hours per round, say somewhere in there, just on average. That gets you to 2 p.m. So that early group on Friday is going to be finished kind of just through some of the wind, and that's going to adjust, obviously. I mean, we're 2 days out on that, so don't take that with a great, that could move 2-3 hour window very easily. But as of right now, if you're trying to nail it down, they're going to finish just as the wind starts getting up there, whereas the other guys aren't going to finish till, say, 4 p.m., 5 p.m.-ish. They're going to be in a little bit more of the wind, but still everyone's going to have exposure to the wind. So for me, I'm not really looking at that. One thing that was interesting looking at last year, there was wind, very similar to what we're going to see on Friday afternoon for 2 days. The Seaside course, and I have this in our Discord channel in the RSM thread, last year's first round scoring average, because with the multi-course rotation, just for anyone that's new to this or maybe tuning in needs a reminder because it's been so long since the multi-course rotation, that each player plays one round on each course on Thursday and Friday, and then they make the cut. And all the players that make the cut, top 65 and ties, play Seaside course only on the final 2 rounds. So looking at last year, Seaside course was almost 3 strokes better, easier when it was windy in round 1 last year. So that's something to definitely look at. Even in round 2, it was windy still, right around that 15 to 20 miles an hour, played about a shot and a half better. So keep that in mind. The Seaside course has played a little bit easier when there has been wind. Any thoughts on that sort of splits?
Yeah, I like that for sure. But I am like you. I'm not really building around the
No.
tee times because they are so close together, and,
Yep.
and you're just going to see so much. There could end up being a tee time advantage, but it's just not something that I'm going to go for this week.
Awesome. So look
So
at
many factors.
Yeah, I agree. The two courses are a bit different. You'd think the Plantation would play a little bit easier, being a par 72. They're both around that 7,000 yard range, whereas the Seaside is a par 70. One thing I noticed, Seaside is going to be played 3 times, so that's really where I built my stats model around this week. And there's 9 of the par 4s that fall between 400 and 450 yards. So that's kind of a key area that we're looking at. The cut's been around -5 in the past. And looking at your previous winners, you've got -19 in each of the last 3 years, -21 from Austin Cook, minus 17, 18. You're going to have high teens, low minus 20s out there. With the wind, I would probably say minus 18 to minus 20 is going to be your winning score. So you're going to need birdies, definitely. One thing I did look at when we'll get into the Fantasy National Golf Club here, when I start looking at that, when I start narrowing down players, I put together a few different models, and one I put together again this week is short courses. So we'll dig into that too. So let's just dive right in here, talk about some core plays. Right for me, right near the top, you got Scotty Sheffler. He's the most expensive this week. He finished T5 here in 2020. He's coming in with back-to-back top fives. You can be rest assured he's going to be popular this week. I do like him. He's playing, like I said, he's playing good. He's got experience here. Cam Smith is probably my top guy this week. My model does not agree with me whatsoever this week in the top tier, but that's fine. He's been playing just absolutely lights out, ball striking. So I do like Cam Smith a lot this week. And then all the way down to Adam Scott at the bottom of the 9K are kind of my top three in this range. And then mixing into my GPP, I do like Mackenzie Hughes again. He's one here, followed by 4 terrible starts here. Keegan Bradley, probably like him a little bit more. I like the ball striking T15 here last year. He's not consistent with his finishes, but when he does pop, he's getting those top 10s. And the top 10 at these prices, I think he can be up there in birdies as well. Kistner, Corey Connors, I don't really like the price too much, but his ball striking, as long as he can put together a good putting round, he's gonna get that 10 to 12x return. How are you looking at the top tier this week?
Yeah, I think the top for me is definitely the same at the very tip top, with Cameron Smith being my favorite here at 10-3. I don't overall love the 10K range, though. I like the nines quite a bit more, and there's 3 guys in there. You mentioned Adam Scott. I like him. We've been on him. Was it last week that we were really on him?
Yep.
But he's been playing pretty well recently, so I like him. But he's not my favorite. In the mid-range of the middle of the 9K range would be my favorite too, and it's Russell Henley at 9,600 and Alex Noren at 9,500. Both have experience here. Noren 18th here a year ago, and Russell Henley 30th a year ago, and had 3 straight top 10s from 15 to 17. Trying to see, Noren's recent form looks good on the sheet, but where was that? Yeah, Mayakoba was 45th, Zozo 18th, CJ Cup 59th, 12th at the Alfred Dunhill in the September. So I like him. I know the price might keep some people away. What is his ownership projection? 9%. So lowest owned in the 9K range, probably. Yep. I'll take that for sure. Henley's going to be one of the top 2 in the 9K range. But yeah, I like Noren a lot as a pivot.
I like your Henley call too. I was on him. He was my top pivot for GPPs last week. That turned out really well. He was lower owned. It was looking really good early, and then he kind of faded away. I mean, that's what those inconsistent putters end up doing for you. But he's number 1 in tags on FanDuel this week. So I'm kind of off of Henley this week. I'm going to jump off the train at higher ownership this week. And you mentioned Adam Scott, and I really do like Adam Scott for the reasons that his price is down to 9K. The sentiment's down. He's the lowest in tags on FanShare. So I would guess that he's going to be the lowest owned, somewhere near the lowest owned of the top tier of guys on DK, 9K and up. And like we talked about, I don't think much changes last week in terms of how we look at him. I'm just going to bring up his player card here. He is on my short term. This is last 12 rounds I'm looking at. He's 30th in approach, 24th in long irons, 3rd in par 4 scoring, 12th in that 450 to 500 range. I don't want that one in the model. I don't know why that one's up there right now. I'll have to get rid of that one. But looking at his short-term card here, he lost 4.3 strokes on approach after gaining 4 in 3 of his previous 4. I think he can get back to that. And when he pops again, he's a guy that's going to give you a top 5. He seems to be in it or he's not. And I think this is a course where he can definitely get in it. And at that price and ownership, he's my pivot in the top tier this week, away from some of the ownership for sure. Yeah, and then below that, I like digging down. I wanted to get your thoughts on Chris Kirk. I like going back to him simply. The last two events have not been good. I think he's going to be a little bit lower owned. I wanted to just check out his. I will do a search here. So he's top 10. So he's going to get some ownership. Just I think with his price in this event being that he's won here in 2014. He's got top 20s in 5 of his last 8 times here with 3 top 5s. So is he a player that's going to be in your core? I know for cash games, I think he's going to be like right there with Cameron Smith as my top 2 plays to build a cash core this week.
Yeah, he's definitely in consideration at that price. I think still makes a lot of sense. Will be owned, I mean, but he's one of the better plays. I think you got to consider him. Still haven't decided on if he would be in my core or not. At the top of that range, as a pivot, another pivot we like, or I like, Keegan Bradley. It's 8,900 is another guy that I'll mention there. The rest of the 8K range is kind of tough for me. Besides Kirk, I mean, you got Mito, Power, who's been playing well, Dahmen, who played well. What are you doing with the rest of that 8K range?
Well, you mentioned Mito. We've been talking about him for a while. I think again, he's got the upside, and I think he could be. Let me search his possible ownership here. Yeah, T13. So he's going to be maybe a pivot off of guys down below him, but he is in that extreme tee time range where if you are playing late Thursday, early Friday to avoid as much as that 15 plus mile an hour wind, he's a guy that could definitely benefit from that in the first 2 days. If he puts together a good first round and then he's looking toward an early tee time on Friday and gets out there again, I think some of those other guys, the scoring is going to be a little bit different for the extreme. I mean, if you're going to play that, you might as well play it to the extreme and go right to those early Friday guys as early as possible, and try and get, at least 4 of those guys in your lineup. He would definitely be one of them. I really like that pivot in there off of Kirk's ownership for sure. If you're trying to get away from Kirk, going him, or even Mackenzie Hughes is going to see some ownership, but Keegan Bradley might be, what was he at up here? Yeah, T47. Absolutely love Keegan Bradley more now, being that he's going to be, maybe in that 5%, maybe even less range, kind of falls between Scott, Kirk, Hughes are all going to see some ownership. Kistner has been amazing course history here, so he's going to see some ownership. Keegan, T15 here last year, and he's coming off a top 10 2 tournaments ago. So absolutely love that play. If you want to go super contrarian this week, Keegan Bradley fits in there. And then who was the other guy that I was talking about at the top? Oh, Scott. Yeah, duh. We're talking about Scott being low owned. I don't think Scott's going to be high owned. We've kind of seen that in the rankings as well. So Scott and Bradley could be a deadly GPP combination this week. I'm actually going to build that out for a GPP lineup right now as we go along. So now as we go down into that mid 8K, mid 7K range, kind of down in the middle there, who are some guys that you're keen in on there?
Man, the 7K range is rough for me. I have some guys in the 6K range that I like, 3 or 4 of them, but the 7K range is tough for me. I might just let you take that one.
Adam Long. Right up
Adam
there
Long.
for me.
All right.
I was on him last week. He was in my top 10 in my rankings. T11 absolutely crushed his value. I believe I don't have my trend sheet up, but I believe it was like 12x or something at his price. Price is up a little bit, but he's got T30, T35 after missing the cut in his first trip here in 2019. I do like seeing that. I'll take those finishes at 7,500. And he's coming in with top 30s in 3 of his last 4. And like I said, coming off a T11 last week, I definitely like that. I like betting him at I think right now I could get him, I'm on Brandon Grace. There we go, 100 to 1. So I put a bet down on him at 100 to 1. He's up there in driving accuracy for me here. What else do we got in terms of stats? So Brandon Grace is another guy, more GPP. I'm not as, looking at his stats are not that great, but when he pops, he can definitely go out there and win for sure. He's got a lot of top finishes here over his last 10, which I like to see. So he's kind of a pivot there. Aaron Ray was someone that stood out. He's got top 20s in his last 2. Hayden Buckley's price is back down now. We were on him the week before. He had that really not the week before, but we were on him the week when his price was down in the, I believe it was 6Ks, and we were on him, and he got a top 10 there. So his price is back down after one bad finish. Not even really bad. I think he missed the cut by a stroke, maybe 2 strokes there in the last tournament. Tyler Duncan, I really, really like, and then I'll let you kind of go below there. But Tyler Duncan is my favorite value play this week.
Yeah, the only guy that I really came in with interest in, I know you liked Long, but Henrik Norlander is a guy that has 2 top 5s here in the past, and kind of not really playing consistently, but more of a boomer bust type play
I
with
like
his
it.
recent form. So that would be one that I like. Going down into the 6K range is really where I start having some interest in a few values. Tom Hoagy doesn't have great history here, but has played here every year since 2015. Let me see what his recent form looks like. So he was 46 at Houston, 56 Mayakoba, 17th at the Zozo, 32nd. So he's been consistently making cuts here in the fall, outside of the Sanderson Farms in September. So like to see that for under 6K. I don't know what his ownership is. Let me slide.
And look at those irons.
Adam Long's only going to be 8%. I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. You got me on Tom Hoagy here. Just look at his irons here. He gained 6.2 strokes at the Houston and got T46.
Nice.
Like, he lost 4 putting. So if he can get that putter, he's very up and down with the putter. So we can get a good. The irons have been consistent. So he's kind of like a Corey Connors, like I guess cheap man's Corey Connors, where if we can get those irons consistent, which they are, and then we can get a good putting week, he starts putting up. Look at the Northern Trust. He barely gained any strokes putting, gained 7 strokes, approach, 7 strokes putting, T5. T14 at the Shriners, there is that regular average of about 3 strokes gained on approach. He gained only 3 putting, or not only 3, that's a really good event of putting, gaining 3 strokes, 5 combined around the green and putting, put up a T14. So I think we can kind of see that upside again, and very cheap. Like, Connors is in the top tier. Obviously, he's more consistent overall. But Hoagie's making cuts, 5 straight, 8 of his last 9, and he's got upside. So I definitely on you with Hoagy.
Yeah, and it looks like his ownership's going to be pretty low. I think 6% is what I just saw. I just went on.
One other thing that stands out, and a tool that I look at on the sheet, is the salary to odds differential. So it's just ranking where a player ranks in terms of outright odds, and then their DK ranking in price and FanDuel ranking. And Hoagie's one that stands out more than anyone else. He's more than a +20 on both sites. So underpriced on both sites in comparison to his odds. Love it.
Yeah, and right below him, Chad Ramey is another guy that has looked solid across this fall swing with back-to-back top 20s at Bermuda and Shriners. Missed the cut. I can't remember what the cut was last week, but couldn't have been by much at +3.
One
kind of a
stroke,
weird,
I think.
yeah. So kind of a weird week, coming off of 2 good ones before that at Bermuda and Shriners. I don't know what his irons look like recently, but I think this is his debut here, but think you can take a shot on him at 6,900. And then 2 more, and I'll let you go on. Down in the middle of this 6K range is Hank Lebiota, who showed signs of life last week with 15th. Played last 3 years here, 2 30th, round 30th place finishes in 19 and 20. And then Bronson Burgoon, I mean, you knew I had to bring, if he shows any signs of life, he's coming right back in the crosshairs. So 15th here last year and 35th last time out. So I mean, you definitely gotta look at Burgoon this week.
I love it. Okay, so Mike was asking about some showdown thoughts for round 1. So I built a model on Fantasy National here to look at, and then I brought up the player page so we can talk about some first round stuff here. So what I did was just go together and put filters in for round 1 for this field, last 8 rounds, so last 8 tournaments. And I like going strokes gained total overall. That includes putting, tee to green, around the green, everything. Vegas is right at the top. So then what I like to do, and this is kind of when I bet outrights or play showdowns, especially for round one, this is what I like to look at is first round leaders, and then just kind of go and look. 67, 67, 66. That is tremendous. I definitely into Johnny Vegas for round one, so keep that in mind. Looking at the sheet as well, if we bring up Johnny Vegas, I have on the sheet round 1, 2, 3, 4 scoring, and round one just happens to be his best scoring average. And this goes back to this right now, I believe, is 40% current season and 60% last season. And then this is the last event. So rolling into January, just for reference, I will have it up to about 70% current stats and 30% last season. And then as we approach the Masters, we get into the 90%, 10% kind of range. I like to keep a little bit on last year just to have some extended form on the stats. So yeah, Johnny Vegas for sure is someone that stands out to me round one. I'm not sure what his price is. I'm actually going to switch that up and go to DraftKings round one. We'll have a look at that. Have you been playing any showdowns lately? This is a week I think I might jump back in.
I have not. If I was going to, though, it would be this week. And the ones I like to play at the most are round one, round two of these tournaments that have the multiple course. So,
yep. How about Henley? He's third in strokes gained total in the first round over the last 8. We know last week he almost got first round leader. Let's go have a peek at his. Whoops, not Anirban Lahiri. So sensitive, this site.
Can we get Tiger Woods back like you had earlier?
Yeah, I always like to have him up first. Yeah, so look at this. Look at Henley's first rounds. Absolutely. 65, 65, 68, 67. So there's two guys right there that I would definitely include my core, just going off this research here alone. Gooch would be more GPP. He was kind of up and down last week. Cam Smith stands out here as well. So this is just kind of, take a snapshot of some of these guys. Here's your top 20 in strokes gained total over. This is a nice small sample size, and this is what I'm looking for showdowns. I don't care what guys were doing in the first round last year. I want, very small sample. Let's even go down to 4 rounds if you want to get even smaller in the sample size. That kind of narrows it down to this season for almost all the players in the field. Gooch, Henley, there's Ramey. He stands out. I believe he is very cheap. I kind of clicked off before. Let's go have a look at that. 7,200. So that's a good price on him if you want to mix in. So you can really play stars and scrubs, I think, if you're playing round one showdown here. So missed the cut, but before that missed cut, he's 65, 63 at the Shriners and Bermuda. So those are 3 guys definitely to look at if you're playing some showdown. Couple other names that maybe stand out. Neiman's always good in the opening round, so take a look at that. And then long-term round one scoring, I'm going to sort this. Sorry if anyone's on the sheet doing some research at the moment, wondering what the F is going on with the sorting. Gooch. Like, even going back on this long-term, Gooch. So, I mean, I would definitely include him in a GPP line for first round leader or showdown if you're playing showdown. So there's Henley up there as well. Connors, Vegas, Chris Kirk is up there. I probably wouldn't include Kirk in the first round. I'm looking more like the core. If I was building a core right now, it would be Henley, Vegas, probably Gooch, and I think I do like mixing in Chad Ramey there as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Doe was asking if I'm not on Neiman this week, and I was waiting to go back up there because, I mean, am I allowed to play him this week? He's only going to be 12% owned. I got to ask permission at this point because I have no
every week.
Can't look at it from the outside. It's just I'm always in on him. So I'm now asking permission to you in the chat to play Neiman.
Yeah. The only knock on him this week is every model I make, short term, long term, everything always points to him except for the course history, and it's only a 2 sample size. I mean, he gained 20 spots better from 2019 to 2021. We know he can make birdies, so maybe he's more, for myself, it would be after looking at the data for the first round stuff, I'm more into him for like a first round leader or a first round showdown type play.
Dove said
I
Goon
like it.
and Yako is Lock City. I mean,
Oh,
this is the last event of the year, and we get Neiman and Burgoon in the same tournament. I mean, what is it? I'm gonna have to do it now.
yep,
So
you're in.
okay,
Let's do
I'm
it.
hooked.
I can't wait till tomorrow morning.
Let's pull up Neiman's fantasy national and just see. He's kind of been up and down. I mean, he popped for the top 5, I know,
Yeah,
but
statistically, he's ugly in the short-term model, but
right.
he's T5 at Mayakoba, missed the cut last week, and he really did. I don't remember what he missed the cut by, but looking at his stats, he wasn't really terribly off anywhere. He was just off everywhere, except for his chipping around the green. But Mayakoba was good, T28s. Um, when he pops, he's getting his top 5s. I think this is a place where it can happen. But yeah, again, for me, it's I'm going to look for that first round stuff. I'm not going to look to him for a full tournament. There's just I'm not making enough lineups this week that's going to matter. And I'm just also super happy that Harold Varner is not in this goddamn tournament. I've actually cashed the last 2 weeks in cash games with Harold Varner in my lineup. 5 out of 6 both weeks with Varner in there. I'm so happy. I'm going to get a 6 out of 6 this week. I know it. I'm banking it in. Cash games, 6 out of 6. And then
In
the
all
first tournament,
seriousness, though,
the first tournament, Varner's back though. You can be guaranteed I'm playing him.
can't hop off now.
No.
But in all seriousness, I don't like Neiman over the 3 guys we mentioned when we were up there.
Yeah.
Henley is far and away my number 1 in that range, and then I like Noren and Scott for GPP. So Neiman would be behind all of those guys for me this week.
Are you feeling Kistner? This is the battle this week. Kistner is the classic battle of course history versus current form. If you're a course history guy, boom, you're on Kistner. Now, one thing I wanted to look at with him was his form coming into all these other years.
Yeah,
Because it's been terrible lately. It's been just like there. Look at that. Those irons. The ball striking has been atrocious. The putting has been up and down. It's just not been good for him at all. I think people are still going to be on him. What is his projected owner? Yeah, T2 in tags on FanShare. He's going to be 15% plus. For me, I'm almost want to fade him. I really do. I've got him as a GPP play right now, but I really do almost want to fade him. But this just really feels like classic Kistner to come in with absolutely terrible form. That's why I wanted to come have a look at this. Yeah, he missed the cut last year coming in. Missed the cut the year before. Yeah, T7 missed the cut before that. So, had form. So he's had form and he's not had form coming into some of these top finishes here. His win, he came in with a T2 the week before, but I mean, last year he missed the cut coming in. So how do you feel about?
I'm off Kisner. I'm always going to lean more toward form than course history when it comes when it contrasts as much as it does with him.
Mm-hmm.
This week, I'm always going to lean on current form. But I mean, he was playing well up till that win, and I don't know. I mean, since then, he's just not been good.
He wins, parties, takes a break, takes like 6 months to come back into form.
Takes a few cans of dip out on the course.
Yeah, has some fun for a while. He just seems like a guy, seeing all those videos of him, like he's serious on the course, but he just likes to go have fun after for sure when he's just out there playing with the buds. So love to see it. Yeah, for sure. And this is very much like for me, like a bearish divergence, I guess you'd say, for any traders out there. Like you said, the contrast between the course history and the form, like you said, I'm with you on always leaning towards the form. So I'm probably going to remove him from course history. Really had me leaning to put him in my player pool. But as we look through things, all the other players that I do like, and the builds that are coming together with them, I definitely like going there better. So I just wanted to finish off this build before we go here. We're getting to that half an hour time. Adam Long, Tyler Duncan, I talked about as my top value play. There's a nice 4-player GPP core right there. I'm not going to run that in cash. That'd be for GPP right there. 8,700 average left over. I love the upside here. And you can kind of go stars and scrubs, or keep it kind of in the middle here. Like if you wanted to go Gooch, Kistner, we talked about him, Dahman, Hughes, you can go a lot of different ways to finish that off. And then for cash games, I like starting with Cam Smith. He's my favorite play of the week here. I think Keegan Bradley is very interesting for cash. That kind of gives you a little bit lower ownership, where if he makes the cut and gets, even a top 25, I think you're kind of separating yourself a little bit where you can make it through with a 5 or 6. And I do like to look at that a little bit in terms of ownership. It's something I've been looking at a lot lately, is not just going with all the chalk plays, because normally if you've got all the chalk plays, you're not going to make it there with a 5 out of 6. Very, very rarely you're going to make it with a 5 out of 6. The guys, and after studying this, and not deep study, but just after the cut is done, looking at the lineups, the guys who have cashed on Sunday, once everything's paid out but still live, you can go look at all the contests. It's crazy to see a lot of the cash game lineups that are 5 or 6 winners that just have that one guy that is lower owned. So, and long story short, is I like Keegan Bradley. I think for cash, I think I'm going to go there. That leaves you 7,700. Tyler Duncan fits into that build for me as well. I think we could go back to Dahman, but you really don't have to. I think we can go Chris Kirk in here, 7,800 total. So that's kind of my cash game core for this week. And then to cap things off here real quick, I've got a couple prize picks plays. I went with Cam Smith, under 22.5, and Adam Scott under 32.5. I just think those are pretty ridiculous numbers. If you want to add a third, Keegan Bradley would be my third after going through the show here. So if you want to run a 3-way power play, that is what I would run there. Any parting words, my friend?
No, I like it. You all can probably guess the core that I'm looking at, but Burgoon is in that core, so I'll spare you giving that out on the show in case people throw stones at me.
The Goon. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Really do appreciate it. If you want a copy of the cheat sheet with our rankings and all of our top plays, bets, cards, everything like that, access to our Discord channel, go over to patreon.com/JagerBombs. $10 a month gets you access to, like I said, the Discord, the cheat sheet, one-on-one coaching, all the individual channels, the thread that I have in chat every single week as well. And $20 a month gets you access to all sports. I think we're rocking out like 10 plus sports right now. Absolutely hammering out on a day-to-day basis. We had a $20,000 winner in chat last night in some NHL. Congrats to Mikey again. Absolutely crush it. Hope you can have the same success tonight in basketball and NHL and into PGA this week. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you Sunday in the Winning Picks channel.
Good luck, everyone.